What is up, guys? Kevin Cage here with another XRP update. Like and sub if you want daily crypto news, and let's play a little catch up after a crazy volatile weekend in the cryptocurrency market. So on utility-scan.com, we can see that the Philippine peso and the US dollar corridor specifically are still holding steady. About $500,000 are being sent via XRP as the bridge currency between these currencies per every 24 hours. Of course, the other corridors seem a little bit dead, but it's cool to see that this website has been updated, so thank you. And as we can see, guys, right now, volume is relatively low, shocker, and last ODL transfer spotted, you can kind of scroll down and see all of this between Bitstamp, $1,000, $2,000, $60, little small remittance transactions, no surprise. And this is the low value corridors before they ramp up volume. Now we can see right here, since October 26th of 2019, the daily volume all-time high was $20 million. That would be amazing. Can you imagine when we finally, whether it's needing clarity or anything in between, and fully launch with partners, can you imagine $20 million on a daily basis? Can you imagine $1 billion, which is still 1/1000th of $1 trillion? And Ripple's partners, whether it's through some of the groups we're going to show today alone with like SIA and anything in between, you guys understand this is trillions of dollars, if not even more, with other factors of derivatives. So I don't think it's too outlandish to see these types of volumes on a daily basis in the future, and of course that would drive price. Notice the all-time volume through on-demand liquidity, at least that was tracked on Utility Scan, is over $2 billion. And per Ripple's announcement, they said that XRP is one of the only digital assets that is used by live financial institutions, and it has done over $2.4 billion in notional value, and that was a few months ago. So of course, I know these ODL numbers and volume has essentially slowed since the lawsuit. No surprise. I do believe these will pick up because of course we already have regulatory clarity in Japan, UK, Singapore, Switzerland, and a variety of other countries. The US will either finally reach settlements, I'm really hoping, in the upcoming months, because man, it has just been a long time. And of course, I think we've heard, I think Michael Arrington said this too, and one of the worst things that could come out of this case, which I don't think happens, is not getting specific clarity. Not getting clarity. Just reaching settlement without defined guidelines. And I don't think that will happen, but of course we do want to discuss those types of scenarios. So let's get into it. We're going to be talking about XRP specifically, but I do want to touch on QNT Quant for all of you Quant fans out there of Over Ledger Network. I believe these assets will be complementary, and I'd like you guys to keep an open mind with that, all right? So, first things first, we have Matthew Liny, Bank of Korea to trial a central bank digital currency functionality in a mock test, discovering kind of domestic use case. Now, this is not going to occur until August 2021, and I believe it will be concluding in June 2022. Now, the primary purpose of this test is to check whether CBDCs can serve settlement, keyword, and remittance, keyword, for the purchase of goods and services. Very interesting. Now, I'm not saying it has to do specifically with XRP, but we're actually going to talk about some of the CBDC things that they're working on with the top 40 to 50 central banks. Also, we can see Ripple and the Central Bank of Korea. They've been working together since 2018. No surprise. And here's Matthew's kind of his own words. Banks will try and go along with it only to find out XRP is the best technology with the least counterparty risk. And I completely agree, guys. Sending value in a trustless manner. It's not going to be done by JP Morgan's, currency, JPM coin. It's not going to be done by a Facebook token. It's not going to be done by a utility settlement token that maybe a little mafia or group of banks utilize. There is still an issue of counterparty risk. So of course, XRP, we've already seen it. It ticks off all of those boxes, whether it's 7 to 10 check marks, it completes them all. Right, so Ripple creates a private blockchain for central banks launching CBDCs back in March. Remember James Wallace as well of Ripple X. We're going to go through a few points of him talking about central bank digital currencies as well to show you the big picture. When you have the big picture understanding, you treat it like an investment. I don't think the volatility will get to you as much. Of course, everybody that's been here for years, you guys already know this. But really quick, for this purpose, the consensus protocol is less expensive and 61,000 times more efficient than public blockchains that use proof of work. The company said this protocol is used in both the XRP ledger and the CBDC ledger, central bank digital currencies. The recent Federal Reserve Bank of New York research suggested that CBDCs have more potential for privacy than their private sector counterparts. Meanwhile, now pay attention to these nations and notice that there are a few BRICS nations. Several CBDC pilots are already underway in countries such as China, Russia, France, Canada, South Korea, Brazil, Japan, Thailand, and more. Now, of course, Taibot, we already know that, the ODL corridors are essentially kind of growing and in development. China, don't even get me started. We know Ripple was literally meeting with their central bank in 2017. Russia, a bunch of interesting connections I know with, what is it? Maybe not Contour, but R3. Bank of France specifically named XRP as one of the assets or ledgers that could be interoperable with their central bank digital currency throughout the EU. Canada, look at the high value payments. Look at all those old articles we've gone through with trillions of dollars on the move. You can talk about Project Links and all these other projects interoperating. South Korea, we just mentioned Korea, no surprise. Brazil literally met with the central bank back in June, July, and they're in development now. We can talk about DLocal, huge partner based out of Montevideo. So just wanted to point that out, kind of give you a high level overview. And of course, 2017, just additional proof. Top Korean banks work with Japan Bank Consortium to modernize cross-border payments. Ripple is deeply ingrained into Japan. Of course, we want some payments to move. And, the Japanese yen is such a liquid corridor. It would not be surprising one bit. We do have some news about MoneyTap that I have to go over as well. In their overall connections with XRP and Mr. Katao. But man, I'm just excited for the future, guys. And again, I think seeing will be believing for most of us. All right. So now we've heard of this group, TAS Network Gateway, essentially a massive gateway throughout the entire European Union. Okay, so TAS Network Gateway, you can see all of this. And notice, we have Ripple right here. We have EBIX, we have SWIFTNet. Remember the gentleman that architected SWIFTNet. Remember, Swift alone sends $5 trillion per day, over $1 quadrillion per year. The gentleman, Konstantin Peric or Costa Peric, he literally works for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and he's a board member of Interledger. What is Interledger? The interoperability protocol that Ripple created for all of these ledgers, banks, and mobile ledgers to communicate. Small world, right? And then we have SIA. SIA is a behemoth. Now, of course, deep connections. The CEO of SIA said we're working with all the huge blockchain players. We've shown it in videos 1,000 times, saying Ripple, R3, and of course we even know Quant. Really quick, Task Group. This is back in 2015. I know it's old, big deal, but just kind of pointing out Ripple, Task Group, of course, working together. Big friends right there. Talking about the Target 2 securities and the real-time gross settlement systems from the very start, deeply ingrained a variety of countries. So pay very close attention to that. Now, let's refresh this bad boy and hopefully it pulls up. Right here, SIA partners with Quant Network to explore innovative solutions in blockchain interoperability for banks and FIs. This is old. I know it's from 2019, but I wanted to paint a picture. SIA, guys, huge. As we can see, at the time, 570 European network nodes. There's about, 570, maybe 600 banks now connected to this group based out of Italy. They are massive. And of course, even interoperability tests with R3's Corda and private Ethereum platforms. No surprise. And QNT, it's very agnostic, just like every successful asset is. And they don't, shove anything down one's throat, but it's an ERC20. All right, for now. So keep that in mind. All right. And let me see if there's anything right here to give you a taste. So this is on SIA.eu. We can see the world of SIA. More than 2,300 clients, 51 countries, large group. Last time I checked, though, was 580, maybe 600 plus banks within this organization. So no surprise. Capital markets could basically paint a picture right there. And even right here, talking about, look, white paper for retail DLT-based CBDCs. So watching these groups, SIANet, CloudNet, etc. Now, we have Gilbert Verdian, if I'm pronouncing his name right, the CEO of Quant. Now, just listen to this quick clip. They're very close with Oracle, well over 400,000 clients, one of the biggest software companies in the world, and this is shared by Jeff. So thank you, sir. And this is Born Quamphy. Notice, they released their blockchain with Hyperledger Fabric, and we can just make that interoperable. This is the same strategy that Ripple does. So remember, QNT, just allowing interoperability between all these ledgers, okay, and these systems. And XRP is that medium of exchange, the bridge asset. They can absolutely be complementary to one another. So it's not going to be one or the other. FYI, this gentleman literally made and created his own ISO standard for QNT specifically. Just like XRP's on the ISO 222 governing standards body is the only TLT group so far, the first one that joined SWIFT. Can't make this stuff up. And yet people are worried about adoption on a global scale. I don't really get it, but listen to this.
The likes of Oracle, very, very close to Oracle. They're one of the biggest software companies in the world. We're doing a lot of work with them, and they're using our technology for things. So Oracle blockchain platform is something that, they released with Fabric. We make that interoperable. There's a lot of work we've been doing with them for their customers, and they're bringing us clients and they're bringing us customers, and other partners are doing the same. So we're in that scaling growth mode, which is an exciting.
Okay, so awesome. Scaling growth mode would not surprise me one bit. We have an exciting couple months ahead for not only QNT, but also XRP, whether it's Flare Networks, and even a lot of QNT updates up ahead, guys. So, wanted to point that out, and this is very similar to Pareto's Law, the 80-20 principle. Why on earth did they need to go after I'm just going to give a made-up arbitrary number, 10,000 banks in the world to become a global standard, when they can just go after some of the software providers? And instead of all of these software providers, they just go after the top 20%, because statistically the top 20% actually have 80% of all the customers, all the volume, all the money flowing through it, all the information. So this is exactly what Ripple does. Both of these groups are integrated with SIA, 500 to 600 plus banks right here. Don't even get me started on a variety of other things and connections. It's incredibly deep. Cryptocurrency is already risky and volatile enough. So don't get me wrong. Yes, I'll still go after some micro caps, but these assets, I believe, will be here to stay and have been here for several years. Okay? Just wanted to point that out. Now, I wanted to read a few points really quick, and then we're going to call it a day because this video is already getting a little long. So be sure to tune into the next one right here. So interoperability, the key to success. And this is a Ripple article that came out talking about the global shift to explore central bank digital currencies. QNT, XRP, even XLM, and a variety of other assets will play a role in the future of this. The question is, how much? So by 2024, so only 3 years away, can't believe it, at least half of the world's population is expected to use digital wallets for transactions that will be valued at more than $9 trillion annually. So right there, $9 trillion needs to move over distributed systems, probably through central bank digital currencies. But of course, we need interoperability protocols, and I do think that blockchain will be the underlying technology. The question is, what fraction of this volume will flow through potentially the XRP ledger, thanks to its CBDC private ledger announcement now with all of these banks? Very, very interesting. Right here, a BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, the central bank of all central banks, by the way. And don't even get me started. We also know that Brad Garlinghouse was talking to Augustin Carstens as well. And he's, head of BIS, just crazy stuff. So found that improving the efficiency of payments was the key motivation for adopting CBDCs, and rightfully so. Without seamless domestic and cross-border functionality, most CBDCs will significantly underachieve their potential. Remember, last mile settlement, domestic settlement, this is only one equation. The most inefficient part of payments is the cross-border market, international payments. $155 trillion are sent across the globe, or annually, globally. So why are they focusing on, domestic and last mile type of settlement when that's important? But the fees and lowering all these fees is what Ripple is tackling. So I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. Also, right here, guys, each government can create its own central bank digital currency rules and policies that best suit its domestic market. However, CBDCs should also be united by collective protocols, cough, cough, interledger of Ripples, or even OVN, over ledger network of Quant, that will enable them to cooperate seamlessly with other central bank digital currencies and digital currencies for simplified cross-border payments. Also, global shift to explore central bank digital currencies. Just a little fact, 25% of US consumers use less cash now than before March 2020. I think that's a silly fact. I think that's pretty obvious. And the overall mission of central bank digital currencies is simple: to move money like information, enter the internet of value. In fact, 86% of central banks are already investigating the potential of CBDC adoption, with over half already progressing from research to pilot projects. We've already discussed, of course, China in the past. We've discussed, Korea just now. And then some of the key benefits of these central bank digital currencies are right here. Enhancing existing payment systems, of course, speed and efficiency, as we read what BIS said. Promoting financial inclusion, the ultimate purpose, supposedly, of DLT and blockchain. If it does not promote financial inclusion, I do think that this whole revolution was a massive failure. And essentially, most of the people still maintain power, which maybe I'm a little cynical, but I do think that's how this all ends up. The rich only get richer, and those of us that pay attention to this trend will still be able to make good money, but in comparison, it's so negligible. All right, and everybody else is looking to get, universal basic income, things like that, UBI. Encourage greater competition, okay. Reducing barriers to entry, boosting access to global markets through interoperability, yep. Maintaining control, I could have some opinions about that, but don't want to get conspiratorial. And foster innovation with advanced digital features like smart contracts and programming money, if-then statements, guys, between businesses, between people, peer-to-peer, where you can set up terms, make that smart contract, and it is there to stay. So, very automated. I think it would improve efficiency. There's not going to be any more errors, even in the federal space where they have to go fix billing or dig through things. All records could be public, or they can have certain keys to access private information, each group, whether it's HR, whether it's, anything in between. So very, very interesting. Just wanted to point that out. And then last but not least, and we'll call it a day here, in March 2021, our central bank digital currency solution that can provide central banks a secure, controlled, and flexible means of issuing and managing digital currencies, all on the XRP ledger, guys. So we have the CBDC private ledger is based on the same exact blockchain technology that powers the XRPL. It also leverages RippleNet, no surprise, in the Interledger protocol. Well, that's funny because we're just mentioning that, and we're paying attention to Interledger Foundation and all these big announcements that have been happening as well. And remember, the gentleman, I just want to remind you guys, because I think people forget how big this is. The gentleman, Costa, or Konstantin Perik, you can look at his LinkedIn, we've showed it a dozen times. He's literally on the board of Interledger. He created SWIFTNet, and he works for Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. SWIFT is the organization that controls the correspondent banking network and messaging. $5 trillion per day. $5 trillion. And I'm over here talking about, wow, 2 billion was an all-time high volume, or cent ever, and we're talking about 20 million as an all-time high on a daily basis. 20 million, not 100 million, not 1 billion. Not 1 trillion, $5 trillion per day. So, do you think there's upside with this success case for XRP? Yes, absolutely. All right, so Ripple is currently engaging with central banks to discover how the private ledger can help achieve their goals. And last but not least, we have XRP Deutschland. So meanwhile, the Brazilian corridor got pretty active. Now, this is from the other day, believe it or not, but we actually did see a little volume going through there. So very nice, whether it's USD to the Brazilian real or vice versa, Brazilian real into USD. So very, very cool. This is before the website was actually updated, I believe. And then this gentleman is the one that created utility-scan. So he's the dev and founder, guys. Really appreciate him. If you want to go follow him, very, very great website. So you can see all this when the transactions move. You can actually see it in real time. So I thought that was cool. And yeah, so be sure to tune in to the next video, guys. There's so much information going on. And do I still believe that XRP will be relisted on main exchanges this year? Yes, I really do. And I'll catch you in the next one.